All right, good morning, class. Nice to chat with you again. We are going to, yesterday in our ecology unit, you were assigned to learn a little bit about ecological relationships. And part of what you learned about yesterday was kind of the classic predator-prey relationship between the snowshoe hare, the little rabbit, and the lynx, which is kind of like a mountain lion. We're going to look at a couple of other different types of symbiotic relationships today. And then there's some lab work. There's some work that I'd like you to take a look at, some lab results. It is block day when typically when we're in school we would have a lab. So we're not going to have a lab per se today, but I'm going to ask you to analyze some results as you that are provided at the end. But first, so a couple of you asked me about this yesterday. By the way, period 2, sorry about the issue with getting that posted. Hopefully that's been rectified. In effect, so some of you only got from 2 pages 1 and 2. 3 and 4 go pretty smoothly, you'll see. So what I want you to do for today is to complete this POGL and submit it to me, all right? I also attach an extra copy as an assignment today. It'll say Ecological Relationships POGL. But what I want to do here is I want you to look at Model 2. And we're looking at, there's a couple of different symbiotic relationships. You looked at one yesterday where predator-prey. And the cool thing about that is that you can see the populations go up and down. So the idea is that the hare, all right, or the rabbit is basically food for the mountain lion. So hares reproduce very quickly, rabbits reproduce very quickly. When their population goes up, that's going to give more food, if you will, for the mountain lion. And as that'll allow the population of the mountain lions to increase because there's more abundant resources for them to thrive on. As they exhaust those resources, in other words, as the population of the predator goes down, you can see where it's going down here. All right, you'll see later on that that's the wrong one here, my bad. The population of the hare goes down. Then the population of the lynx of the mountain lion, in effect, will also go down because there's not as much food available for it. So their population dwindles. Then later on, when there's fewer predators around, the hares can reproduce more quickly and the cycle restarts over again. So it's pretty cool. What I want to show, remember, in tying in with some of our learning objectives, ecology is largely about the study of interactions between biotic factors and abiotic factors. In other words, you're studying about how one organism interacts with another organism in their particular environment, in the particular ecosystem. That would be biotic factors interacting. And then how the terrain, let's say the lay of the land, or an abiotic factor like temperature or humidity, or whether the land's mountainous or what type of dirt there is and so forth. There's a lot, if it's hot or cold, there's a lot of different abiotic factors, how that impacts the life of a biotic factor and living organisms in that particular ecosystem. So what I want you to do is look at today on Model 2, getting back to Model 2, there are 3 other forms of symbiosis that I'm going to introduce you to. And I want you to explain here, all right, what type of symbiotic relationship it is. All right, so I'm going to get you started on this, and then you can answer the questions on 3 and 4, pages 3 and 4, which should flow pretty quickly if you haven't done so already. I'm going to go to my, let's look at one here. Let's go to a couple here. All right. Let's go fungus and algae. Okay, this is actually something called a lichen. I'm just not spelling it very clearly there. It's L-I-C-H-E-N. It's not L-I-K-E-N, L-I-C-H-E-N. And a lichen is basically a classic type of symbiotic relationship. The fungus and the algae need each other. Now, why would they need each other? Well, you can see that the algae conducts photosynthesis, so it has the ability to take the sun's energy and convert that to a tangible form of chemical energy, which the fungus feeds on, all right, which is pretty cool. What does the fungus provide the algae? Well, the fungus in turn provides us, you can see, a suitable living environment, like a substrate, if you will, just a house, if you will, if you want to look at it that way, a suitable living environment for the algae. So this is a classic symbiotic relationship. I like to refer to it as you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And then you will see, as you look at a key down below, kind of read these through first, and then your key down here is related to that. You can see there are 3 different types of symbiotic relationships. That first one is called mutualism, where both organisms benefit from the relationship. So that, in fact, would be this type of relationship here with the lichen that we just described. There would be mutualism because both of the organisms in the relationship benefit. You'll see also there are 2 others. One is called a parasitism. You might be familiar with a parasite. A parasite is where one organism benefits and the other is harmed, actually hurt by that. And there's a couple of examples up here. I believe there are 2. See if you can, as you go through this on your work, see if you can find which 2 that are listed. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see there's 6 listed, I believe. This one here is a personal favorite for me, for termite, and you can see cellulose digesting bacteria. Cellulose is the sugar. Remember, OSE, or it's the carbohydrate. Remember, if it ends in OSE, it's a carbohydrate. That's really the tough, long-chain polysaccharide that makes up wood. And if you know anything about termites, you might automatically correlate to the fact that the termites digest wood. And technically, that's not correct. Termites in and of themselves cannot digest wood. They actually rely on the cellulose digesting bacteria. Pretty cool to do this. So a little bit of piece of information that's always kind of interesting. And you'll see the shark and the remora, the cattle and the cattle egret, and the human and the tapeworm. So see if you can fill out by looking at these. See if you can figure out if these are examples of a parasitic relationship, one of mutualism, where they both benefit. The third type you can see is something called commensalism. And commensalism is one organism benefits from this relationship, and the other one, has no impact at all. The other one just kind of going about its life. It's not bothered by the fact that this other organism is taking advantage of it. So anyway, so go ahead and that would take you through pages 3 and 4. So you'll learn about parasitic symbiotic relationships, mutualism, symbiotic relationships, and you'll also learn about commensalism. All right. Now, straight down here, model 3, I'd like you to complete the rest of it too. This would be 3, 4. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. My bad. This is page 5, 6, 7, and then try this extension question also. Some of these questions are pretty easy. They'll pull right off the graphs with that. Some of them are a little more difficult. They're going to challenge you a little bit. Do the best you can with that. I have attached, I'll make a note, I have attached an answer key in the topic section. So make sure you give it your best shot, and then check your answer. You can confirm your answers and then submit it later on. So do it in that order because it'll help your learning when we get into test time later on in the upcoming couple of weeks. One little key I'm going to give this to you. This is, you can see there's one that's called inter and intra-specific competition. Typically, the difference with these is that this is intra is basically one species. So you'll see there are some species here of Paramecia, very small organisms that you'll have a chance to learn about some experimental conditions and so forth. If they're talking typically about one species, it would be an intraspecific. For example, if I had an intraspecific highway in Illinois, that highway is only in the state of Illinois. So it's only one state. You could use that as a metaphor for one species. If this is inter, it's usually two species. You could say two or more. All right, so if you see one that, if you see like a graph, all right, that will show basically two species kind of competing for the same resources, that's called an interspecific competition. Interspecific, just think of an interstate highway. If I had an interstate highway, it would not necessarily be like I-90, for example, goes all the way across our country. It goes through Massachusetts and New York and a little bit of Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, all the way out. You get the idea, all the way out to Washington. So do your best on this, as always. Go all the way up. You can finish this POGIL all the way back for that. And try the extension question. That's a little bit of a challenge for you. And again, and confirm your answer on the with the answer key. The answer key is in the topics section of the ecology topic. Do your best on it. There is no class on Friday, as you know, so we have off Friday. On upcoming Fridays, I'll be chatting with you about that a little bit. You've seen Mrs. Hawkett talked about that. I'm going to be here on Fridays. I'll be available for you. There will not be assignments on Fridays, really, from now through the end of the semester. And the idea is that gives you a time to catch up on some work. It gives you a time to find your teacher if you need some additional questions and so forth. But it's not a time where I'll be checking in for attendance or anything like that. So use it prudently, use it wisely. It's not a day off. They're called Flex Fridays. More on that later. All right. I will see you. Been thinking about you guys. You guys have a wonderful day.